Hello everyone, Mrhappy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mrhappy, aka Mrhappy Mondays. If only you knew how many takes it took every week for me to get that intro right, you'd be pretty surprised. It's a weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them, whether they're about Final Fantasy XIV, what games looking forward to, what's my favorite color, even though I'm colorblind, so I hate all of you ask me that question. You can ask me pretty much whatever, and I'll just answer it. Now, before we move on to the actual weekly Q&A part of the show, I like to do announcements at the start of the show from time to time. I have two huge ones for this show. First off, I would like to say that Mrhappy Gaming, my brand, is now partnered with Green Man Gaming. Some of you may know them. They're a website where most people go to get sweet deals on console games and Steam games and things like that. There's a huge selection of games you can get from Green Man Gaming. So if you want to support the stream further, since I am now an official partner with them, there's a link in the description of the video. If you go there and you buy something through Green Man Gaming, it'll support the channel. Thank you for anyone who decides to do that. I really appreciate it if you guys decide to shop through that link. Also, in case you're wondering what kind of benefit this has for you, there's a discount code, and it's kind of weird having my own name in a discount code. Mr. Hap, hold on, let me, I have it right here, hold on. Mr. Hap dash Y1227S dash AVES20. So it's Mrhappy 1227 saves 20. And if you use that discount code in the store on Green Man Gaming, for most games it'll work. It's a 20% discount code. It doesn't work for some things. I know somebody said it does not work for Heavensward, which you can get through Green Man Gaming. It does work on a bunch of other games though, so if you want 20% off, there you go. You got that right there. Also, the other announcement I have is on my Twitch channel. You guys know I stream every day, 5 hours a day. We hit over 500 subscribers today, which means we get 5 new Sub Emotes, which I'm going to be teasing on social media very soon once they're finished. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm honestly, at times, I want to break down into tears when I see things like that, because literally 2 months ago I had 370. 2 months before that I had like 200. So the amount of support that's been coming out of the community has been overwhelming, to be honest. It's been an experience for me. It's why Twitch has become one of my favorite platforms to do content on, because the interaction level and the camaraderie I develop with my viewer base is just, it's taken to a whole nother level on there. So thank you everyone who's come by, even if you're not a subscriber, if you're a viewer or a follower, whichever one. Thank you everyone for supporting the Twitch channel on top of the YouTube channel. I couldn't do it without you, bottom line. So now that the sappy stuff is over with, let's get to the questions. There's like 47 questions this week, so I got a lot of them to get through. Let's get started. Alright, so the first question we're going to answer, and by the way, I'm taking all these from the Dream Network forums. I said if there were 3 pages, I would pull. There was 4 pages worth of comments. So I'm pulling all from the Dream Network forums this week, guys. So apologies to anyone asking questions in the YouTube section. First question. Hey, Happy. That's one of the new emotes. I hope you are healthy nowadays. Doing alright. What do you think about a gear creation system where you have options for different parts of a weapon as a crafter, or armor, I'm assuming? You can choose to have a different hilt or a different guard on a sword, for example, and it can have a similar interface like the character creation system. I know it's too much data for the servers and too much coding for Square Enix, so they won't do it. But what are your opinions? I think that's, so it sounds like you're pulling from Dragon Age, because Dragon Age does that. And that's one of my favorite things about Dragon Age, is the ability to customize the weapon like that. I think it's a great system. I don't think it would work in an MMO as much as I would love it to. Now, let's take it back a notch. Let's say it's not like the character creation system where you get that whole big menu. Let's just say I'm crafting this sword, and there are parts that have stats attached to them. Think of it like materia, but almost like customizing the stats before you even finish crafting it. You're going to decide, when I finish this, it's going to have these stats. Then I can go ahead and materia meld it, but since I crafted it with these stats, the melds are easier to obtain. Like that. I think that could be a great system in this game if they were ever willing to do it. So, great question, and I think it's a cool idea. Question number 2. Hello, Mrhappy. This is my first time asking a question for Mondays with Mrhappy. I love your videos, and I've been watching them for a while. Keep up the awesome work. Thank you for the support, my friend. I've been playing 14 for around 2 years now. I've been part of the same free company, helping everyone with endgame things since I hit level 50. Now I've decided to do coils. Yes, I am just now trying to clear turn 9 and jump into the final coil. Good on you, man. Nobody wants to help. I really don't want to say anything to them, so I've been doing it in the duty finder, which is not going so great. I am not sure what to do. I don't want to be that guy that shouts that I've helped them all and I just want to clear turn 9. What should I do? I gotta ask you this. Have they cleared turn 9? If the answer is yes, then I would say something. Not very aggressive. Try not to be too passive-aggressive. Like, you want to be straightforward about what it is you're saying. Just be like, guys, I need help. Who's available? And when people don't reply, just be like, you just talk to somebody about it. You got to tell somebody, listen, I want to be a part of this free company, but it seems like nobody wants to do anything together. And it's a real problem for me. And you can even say that right in free company chat. Just says, I feel like no one wants to do anything nowadays. Like, it's not even help. Just do stuff together. You know what I mean? Honestly, it might end up, you might need to find a link shell, or you might need another free company. But you got to give them a shot first. Because if you just leave without giving them a shot, or you just don't say anything, neither of those are going to resolve the issue. So you need to be a little bit more forward. Just try not to be passive. It's going to be real easy to be passive-aggressive. Like, well, I mean, I helped everyone else, so no. Don't do that. Just be straightforward. At least talk to a few people privately first, and then bring it into the free company chat if you're comfortable. Question number 3. Good thing that's not normal. I just do that from time to time. Hey, Mr. Happy. Dune here. Want to say thanks for giving me some quality viewing material during the slow mornings at work. And I've got a class-related question. Well, I'm glad I can make your workday a little bit more bearable. Do you think they'll ever add another pet-based class like WoW's Hunter? Or do you think it'll remain a mechanic strictly kept by the Arcanist and its related jobs, much like how stance-based combos are for monks and jump mechanics for dragoons? No, I think they'll eventually... The thing is, when they do another pet, it will work completely differently from the way Scholar and Summoner does. You're probably not just going to get a legit pet hotbar that just has those same basic 4 commands plus basic commands for your pet. There's probably going to be a whole new dynamic to it, and that could be... I know people hate hearing me say this, the Puppet Master, where your hotbar is, it's got the, command, it's got the basic control scheme, but it's also got, this maneuver, and the combination of maneuvers when activated with one of your abilities on your hotbar causes the pet to create this sort of action. It's kind of almost like what people want from Summoner, but going to other places. This is a bit of a different system from the way that people want Summoners to be more involved, but I think it could be a pretty cool system. I do think we'll see more. I think, honestly, Beastmaster in this game is going to be either a melee pet class, or they're going to be like WoW's Hunter. I think that will be our next pet-based class, or job, I should say. And I think it's going to be... I think they're going to do a great job. I hope they do a great job, but we'll see. Pet jobs so far, Scholar, super OP, Summoner, underwhelming to a lot of people. So we'll see how they move forward with the pet jobs, but they'll definitely do another one. Alright, next question, and my word, there's quite a bit of text here. A few questions for Mr. Happy Mondays, aka Mondays with Mr. Happy, like I said, week 40. Since we, I guess you could say, ended the 1.0 story, I'm curious of what you think Yoshi and the team over at Square Enix have in store for us with Alexander in the future raids. I mean, surely they can't beat the epicness of the Binding Coil Bahamut, right? So what do you think, hope to see in future raids, specifically the 8-man raids? Do you think Square Enix could potentially top what we've already seen? Do you think that we will see the return of any previous characters or bosses? Do you want to see more CGI cutscenes? Holy moly, that's a lot of questions. I'm going to have to go through them fast, man. I'm not going to be able to give an elaborate answer to each. Surely they can't beat the epicness? Of course they can. It's easy. Final Fantasy's been one-upping itself in terms of epicness and like cutscenes and storylines for a long time now. It's nothing new to them. Whenever we think that they're out of the game, they show up with a pretty interesting story, except for a few titles that I won't name specifically. I mean, so what do you hope to see in the future raids? I hope to see them to stop sectioning it off like this is turn 1, this is turn 2, this is turn 3. I want it to feel like it's epic, and that part of that feeling is starting at it, killing the first boss, like World of Darkness. Like World of Darkness, but within an actual raid scenario with just one instance. I know with the whole lockout thing, the whole time lockout thing that some people might find annoying. Listen, just lock your progression. Like, I beat this boss. We have this limited time because that's just the way they like to do things. We go back in and we start from our checkpoint. You know what I mean? I just want it to just be one instance. It looks great on the Duty Finder when you're trying to show people, hey, look at all this content. Everything is separated and not together. And then they're like, well, that kind of sucks. So, yeah, that's what I would like to see. Specifically for the 8-mans, do you think they could potentially top? Not everything's going to top. A lot of people think that every raid that comes out after the previous one has to be harder. Like, for example, people thought Final Coil, why was it easier than the second coil in general? And that's not because it's because Final Coil, yes, it's supposed to be the ultimate, the final part of the story, but the way that mechanics are received by people are always going to be different. When you take the raw damage mechanics of turn 13, where having perfect, and I mean perfect mitigations is the main mechanic to the fight, it's a totally different dynamic than turn 9, where it's friggin' everything's all over the place. You know what I mean? So, but that's the thing. Just because it comes after doesn't mean it has to be harder. Because if that was the case, the MMO community would never be pleased. And honestly, a lot of them act that way, like, oh, this isn't harder. This is disappointing. It's not harder. It's like it can't always be harder. Sometimes challenges just need to be done. As long as the fight is done thematically well, I like it. So as long as they can keep doing that, it's not about topping anything. It's about creating an experience that is good, that is adequate. And that, yes, they are always going to try to do above and beyond work on it, but it's not always going to come out that way. So that expectation needs to, like, stop. Do you think we will see the return of any previous characters and or bosses? Yeah, I have a feeling we will. I'm not going to name them, but we definitely will. Do you want to see more CGI cutscenes in future raids? I don't want them to spend that much time developing CGI cutscenes for the raids. Actually, no, you know what? Now that Alexander Normal is, everyone's going to be able to see it, sure, go out of your way. I don't think they should take that much development time into cutscenes for the raids, which not everyone does. I'd rather see more CGI cutscenes for the main story. Just my personal opinion, though. And then you say, thanks for reading all of your, thanks for reading, love all your content, love you doing what you do, been a fan for a long time, always continue to support you. Thank you, man. Sorry I had to kind of skim through those questions, but I got other questions to answer as well. I keep saying answer as well. Question number 5. Greetings, Mr. Happy. First time here. Wow, got a few first-timers here. I love your video content so far. Very entertaining. Thank you, sir. Or madam. But I do have a question. I could have sworn there was some talk a while ago about guilds being able to capture a primal and use it for a one-time ultimate attack. So I'm going to just address this immediately because they've addressed that this is still planned. I call BS. This is never going to work because, okay, here's the thing. It's supposed to be open world content where you kill the primal and then you capture it and you unleash it once. First of all, that goes against all of the lore. It's ridiculous to think that that would ever fit in the lore with how much they hate the primals and calling upon the primals. You know what I mean? Even if they, I'm not going to spoil the story, even if they use a specific method to capture it, still just not putting that ether right back into the world is bothersome to me on a lore standpoint. Second of all, there's no open world content to use that thing on. They would need serious, and I mean serious open world content. Not hunts, not large scale fates. They would need seriously tiered, hardcore open world content. You may be thinking to yourself, the flying islands with the free company airships. Potential, but I want to see more. I think they could still do it, but it's going to take a redesign of the way open world content is approached by the development team. All right, next question. So I have a quick question. I don't think it's been asked answered. So with the new way the devs are looking at job class, do you think they'll split up Scholar and Summoner? Well, the question's actually been asked quite a lot, and you have a lot of explanation here under that about, you know, what you mean is you haven't leveled them up, having the, you know, you will have to level them separately, and they'll have different, you know, stat points. I think they want to. I don't think they have found a meaningful way to do so. Because, let's be honest, it's a cool idea. I got 2 jobs for the price of 1. Unfortunately, in execution, all you end up with is, well, I'm just going to play this one, because if I want to play the other one, then I got to switch points, and switching points is annoying, and what's the most to bill? You know, why can't the points just be split? There's so many, people have more problems than praises about it from my experience. I think they want to, I think they will eventually. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Question for week 40, that is number 7. As for finishing the main story, do you think that they will add a shortcut to any of the dungeon style raids? You need to progress the story with people leveling to 60. The queues for old content will quickly get longer and longer. I thought the level 60 roulettes will include pre-Heavensward content, but you never know. The low level roulette will absolutely still include all that stuff. I have a feeling they're going to have to rework the way it presents how much content is in the low-level roulette. I very much expect there to be a low-level roulette that has all the level 50 dungeons that are now low-level. There's going to be a lot of new roulettes to ensure that your concern doesn't happen. I think they're going to nerf them to the point where you could beat them with 2 people for all I know, but there's probably going to be some changes, but I don't think it's as big of a problem as you may be fearing. Question number 8. Hey, Mr. Happy, question for week 40. Don't know why I said it like that. Do you think they are going to give a reward to players that have completed all Relic weapon Zeta? No. Your reward is you now have all the Zetas. Congratulations. They're probably not going to go out. Maybe they'll do something small. I wouldn't count on it. Because then every time a new mission comes out, they have to do it again. Like 3.1, the new quest line comes out now. When that finishes, they have to have an achievement for all that. I don't see it happening. Number 9. Hello, Mr. Happy. Love your vids. Thank you. Question, do you think they'll remove the requirements for the current master crafting and unspoiled nodes with 3.0? There's no need to lock 3 or 4 star items and their materials away behind match recipes and time restrictions. I don't think they will. I have a feeling those items may still retain some usefulness when the expansion comes out, especially clusters. Now, the thing about clusters is that those are more available than most everything else. But even so, unless they're going to release a new type of crystal or shard, like a 4th tier, they're going to need those things to probably still be a little bit tiered. So they're going to want to, and it's going to keep people in the old areas still mining. So I have a feeling maybe the master crafting books you will see, because honestly, it's going to be a joke to do those books at level 60 with the stats you're going to have. But yeah, I can see your point. It's kind of stupid to have to go through all of that just to maybe make a vanity item or something like that. Yeah, I think they'll probably remove some of the restrictions, make it a little bit easier access. I still think the unspoiled nodes are going to sit on a time restriction though. But I do expect there will be more ways to obtain clusters and things that are less time restrictive and more based on their new systems. Alright, next question. Hello, my experience with WoW ended at like level 30 in Ragnarok Online. Love. Didn't have any rating, so Final Fantasy XIV has been my first experience with an endgame raiding scene. Could you say some words of comparing 14's raids to other games' raids? Mechanics, size, boss design, communities? Thanks. So, the one thing I'll say about Final Fantasy XIV raids, they are very obsessed with fewer encounters that are more impressionable on you. While World of Warcraft was about the entire raid itself. Like, you're going into Black Temple, Illidan's Lair. You gotta feel like this place is a massive threat. Even if you don't necessarily remember every boss, or no, some of the bosses are kind of like, they're tough, but they're not memorable, maybe. Their bigger focus is just making sure you remember the whole raid, going from start to finish. I think that's the one thing 14's missing, is, as I was saying before, that feeling of, I'm going through it. I recognize this thing. I recognize that. There's landmarks that remind you, hey, where am I? How far do I have left to go? As opposed to, it's like, okay, well, trash is dead. We're at the boss, guys. Okay, boss dead. Let's leave. And then go back into the second one. I would love that lobbying system they have between the coils to end and just have it be one continuous thing. In terms of difficulty, fairly high difficulty in Final Fantasy XIV, with the lack of multiple difficulties for the serious endgame content. Back in, you know, A Realm Reborn, in Heavensward, that'll be slightly remedied. It's definitely made raiding a little bit harder to get into. I think with Alexander Normal coming out, people will feel a lot more inclined to maybe get into the raiding scene, move from normal to savage. I'm interested in seeing how that ends up working. I am afraid of them not having something between the more casual raid and then super hardcore raid. I think this is why World of Warcraft now has so many difficulties while we only have 2, because they realize that literally you need something for every single type of raider, and that's what all those difficulties fill in. So that's really the only other game I could compare it to. 11 had raids, but they were a completely different thing, so it's not even fair to compare the two. That's the best comparison I would make. Next question. Square Enix have said that the Dark Knight will not use HP as a resource like their previous incarnations, but will use MP instead. It's got me thinking how this might work. What of the Dark Knight has low HP compared with other tanks but has high MP? The reason for this would be that MP is both used as a resource for more powerful attacks and also as a form of shield. Perhaps they could have 2 stances, an HP stance and an MP stance. Taking damage in the HP stance could regenerate MP, while the MP stance could offer protection to HP. I'd be very interested to get your thoughts on this. It's not a bad idea. It's definitely a unique take on it where MP does act as your health. You turn on MP stance and, oh, this hit took X amount of MP, or this hit took that equivalent amount of MP. Then you have to kind of question how good their MP regeneration is, because if that ends up being, it could get serious to the point where they have an MP, they never have MP, and they're constantly and they need Ballad. And then you have the Piety Dark Knight jokes. In theory, it could work. It would need some tuning, but it would be pretty cool to see. Next question. What's happening, Haps, for Mondays with Mrhappy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays? As a fellow ninja, was curious what ninja abilities you would like to have seen in Heavensward. Personally, I'd like to see some better AoEs, perhaps something similar to Bard's Barrage. Also, it's just me, but as a PS4 player, I'm a little concerned with the idea of a new Mudra. Chi, Ten, and Jin, and a 4th new one, while it would be cool to have, would be a lot of combinations. So, my opinion. I actually made a video about abilities I'd like to see for all the jobs. I made 3 videos, one for healers, one for tanks, and one for DPS. The only thing I could come up with for Ninja is an ability that turns them into 4 clones. It renders them untargetable and creates 4 clones. Those 4 clones basically only auto attack, except for when the master casts ninjutsu, which I'm pretty sure happens in the ninja. It's basically the fourth, the shadow clone jutsu, because that's what everyone's going to call it, Naruto. Damn it. Anyway, so, yeah, like that. That would be pretty cool, in my opinion. I only think it would work, though, if the ninjutsu it worked with was Fuma Shuriken, because if you start trying to mimic Huton, it's like Huton, Suiton, it's like, those aren't useful. Raiton is useful, but Fuma and Raiton are similar in usage depending on your latency anyway. So I guess in that case, it really doesn't make a difference, but they would do reduced damage, they would only auto-attack, they'd be pretty fragile, but it'd be a nice little DPS cooldown, it'd be a nice PvP ability at the same time. I think they will add a fourth. I've been saying I don't think they will. I'm beginning to fear that they will. So many people ask about it. You've now convinced me that there may be a fourth mudra. Even I'm worried about that. Not because of controller space, but because, man, there's a lot of combinations now with 4 mudras. So I wonder how many more ninjutsus they would add on top of that fourth mudra. We'll have to see. Next question. Hello, Mr. Happy. First time asking a question here. A lot of first timers. Thank you. Thank you for coming by. But I did have a couple of questions that I hope will be quick. The first one is not really FF related and may seem awkward, but more about hand health. Since you play games, do you do anything special to take care of the health of your hands? When I was younger, I used to be able to play games non-stop and my hand would never cramp of anything, but now that I'm older, I know if I play games for hours and don't take a break, my hands hurt for a while. I'm worried about developing arthritis this way. Is there anything special you can do? So one of the big things is make sure you have a level place to put your wrist down. Make sure you're not leaning your wrist over the side of a desk. Also, if you need to, buy a pad that you can rest your arm on while you're using your mouse or your keyboard. Buy a keyboard rest for your wrist. Also, I would honestly take liquid vitamins that help with joint health. That definitely helps a lot. Also, be sure just to work out your wrists a little bit. There are, not what you think. Okay, not what you think I meant. Okay. Calm down. I meant like you can do curls. That's not helping. There are there are appropriate exercises for your wrist that are not what you think it is. Google them. No, don't Google them. Ask a friend. No, don't ask a friend. You can do exercises. We'll leave it at that. Not a shake weight. Anyway, and then you said, apparently I lied about a second one because I forgot what my second question was. Okay, but keep up the good work. I'm relatively new to the game, but your guides have helped me immensely with my white mage and black mage jobs, so much that I ended up acting as a black mage healer. Yeah. Hope you had fun with that. Anyway, after that awkward question for week 40. I would really like to hear your opinion on this, so I'm asking here on YouTube, which is weird because you asked me on the dream. Never mind. Do you think something needs to be done about AFK players or players who intentionally underperform in 24-man content? To keep this timely, you wrote a lot more after that, you know, explaining problems with Labyrinth of the Ancients. What are you going to do is my question. What, you're going to add a report feature for because you can't, unless they literally say in the chat, I don't give a shit, I'm not trying. What are you really gonna do to make them punished? Maybe, and then you have people reporting the underskilled players or the players who have never seen it before as intentionally feeding, I guess I'll use a League of Legends term there. I think it's bullshit. I think there should be a way to get them, like if enough people do it. It is an abusable system, but honestly, at the same time, you can't let an abusable system... You can't let... Because there's always going to be abuse cases for everything you implement into a game that involves players interacting with other players. So, you can't let that hold you back all the time. I think this could cause more problems than it would solve. I think there needs to be more than just commendations for rewarding good behavior, or the commendations need to have more meaningful rewards, like, I don't know, an item off the something off the optional item store, or, you know, a free week of the game to give to a friend, or something like that, something that really benefits. Or it can make it so that if you report somebody for, you know, see, there's so many abuse cases. I was going to say, if you give somebody enough commendations, it improves the rate at which they gain tomestones. I'm not saying that because people give me commendations all the time. But if you, like, receive a certain amount of commendations a week up to a cap, it will actually increase the rate at which you obtain tomestones or something like that. Something to reward good behavior instead of punishing bad behavior is the system I think would work best. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy, first time asking a question here. Another one. Love the vids. Thank you, and thank you for coming by and asking a question. Okay, straight to the point. I like this guy. In week 39 vid, you said something about getting the gear for the new jobs that I want to use, or maybe main the Dark Knight. So how would I go about doing that? He says he's a noob here. So here's what you're going to do. get as much level 50 tank gear as possible. It's the high of an item level as you can get. If you're spending all your poetics on Dark Knight gear, on Ironworks fending gear, good. If you're spending it on some slaying gear to get some extra strength for leveling, great. Just in case, I'd save up either some poetics or some soldiery to maybe get a weapon. I don't think they've commented on whether there will be Ironworks or the soldiery weapons for the new jobs. They've only commented on primal weapons. It couldn't hurt to try, though. The soldiery farming would probably be the safer one because you want to spend the poetics on the really high level gear. So you have a choice. There's all those ways you can do it. Just try to save up as much level 50 tank gear as possible. However, whether you're spamming World of Darkness, poetic, soldiery, whatever. As much as you can, as soon as possible. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy. First time here. Nice. Nice. I have 2 questions regarding healers. With the Astrologian being able to switch between pure healing and barrier healing, do you think that Astrologian's healing will be unique, or will it seem like a White Mage Scholar hybrid? The latter, I believe, but it would be a bit bland. No, I think that their barriers aren't going to be like Scholar's barriers. I think there's only so many ways you can straight up heal something, restoring its hit points. I think that's going to feel very similar. I think that the way their cards interact with their abilities is going to be interesting. I think the barrier stance might literally do no healing and just be barriers. That seems a bit steep, I know, and I'm not saying all their abilities are going to start doing that, but I feel like it will change some of their more important abilities to do that, while they still have some backup healing in other sources. So, that's what I'm going with. I don't know why I just did the Joker thing with my tongue like twice. I don't know. Maybe I'm turning into the Joker. Who knows? Do you think that Scholar could have been a better healer if they had branched off of a DPS? If they hadn't branched off of... Are you saying Scholar's not a good healer? Because Scholar's an amazing healer. I actually had a debate with this on my live stream. Somebody asked me, do I think that the healers are equal? And I said yes, only because they complement each other, and having one of each in the party is more beneficial than bringing 2 of them for multiple reasons. However, if I was going to solo heal a fight, I would do it on Scholar. Or if I was going to be like, hey, we need to get rid of a role, I would get rid of White Mage. Because I think that Scholar's ability to have the fairy heal while they do full-time DPS and switch back to heal or do barriers specifically for the party is an unmatched utility in this game. They are as close to a hybrid job as we are ever going to see in this game. They can do 350 DPS while still protecting everybody in the party, while still mitigating damage, and without ever needing to stop healing because their pet's just an infinite mana healer. I just don't see Scholar ever getting replaced. I think, if anything, Scholar's just going to be a mainstay forever. It's an amazing healer. And I think that because they come off of Arcanist, that's what makes them so great. It's that pet-related thing, their abilities Arcanist brings to the kit, that makes Scholar so good. Alright, I got a little heated on that one. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy, quick question. Were you ever able to get the Gaius card for your main? There are so many bad words I want to say to you right now. No. Question 18. Hey, Mr. Happy. Question for week 40. I recently had an accident with PSN and can't log in and still having issues. I was wondering if you think I would be able to start a new character, get it to 50, and get the relic done. Oh my god, you mean a Zeta? Oh. Okay, I'm not going to say you couldn't do it. I'm going to say don't do it. Oh, before 3.1 though. Oh, easy, dude, easy. Are you kidding me? You get to 60 with like 4 jobs and finish the Zeta in that time because they're going to get nerfed to oblivion in the expansion. So between 3.0 and 3.1, you can easily complete that. I would try to resolve the issue you have. I don't know what the issue is. I don't know if you're saying that you're having the PSN issue because the whole Lizard Squad thing. But hopefully you can resolve the issue as opposed to starting over. Alright, next question. Hi, Mr. Happy. Greetings from Argentina. Thank you for coming by. Big fan and vivid YouTube viewer. Question for week 40. There's any con of transferring my account to another world? Right now I'm on Famfrit, and as a DPSer, sometimes it takes almost 20-30 minutes to join popular duties, not primals. Some people tell me it's normal because I'm playing as a DPS, but others tell me that this server is not as popular as others. Any suggestions? So when you say popular duties, I'm assuming you mean things like World of Darkness, like the Binding Coil, whether it be 1, 2, or 3, first, second, or final. Things like that. Famfrit as a server, yeah, I guess that's not too surprising. As a data center, those queue times do seem below average. On the Primal Data Center, I've been having issues with getting lost in the duty finder for very long periods of time, where even though there's other people queuing and they're getting in the parties together, you're sort of being left out in this space where the duty finder doesn't notice you, and it only notices you when other people are stuck in that space. So that might be part of the reason. And yes, it is normal for like low-level roulettes to get 20-30 minute queues, but at level 50, you shouldn't be getting 20-30 minute queues as a DPS unless you're queuing into like things that aren't popular, like story mode dungeons or something like that, or not even story mode dungeons, but like fights that are good for one-offs and that's all they're good for. Like Odin, maybe you would have a long queue time, or Gilgamesh, the first one, Battle at Big Bridge. I'm surprised. The only con is that you can't bring more than a mil with you. You can through various means of, you know, buying items and then selling them when you get back to the other, when you go to the new server. Your retainers can only hold 100k each. If you played back in 1.0 and those retainers have to be remade, there's a lot of things that can go wrong with it. And there's a full list of it. If you go to the Mog Station, they'll tell you all the requirements. So I would go read up on that list. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy. First of all, I want to say thank you for your YouTube guides. You're welcome. And thank you for supporting the channel. They have been extremely helpful as a novice MMO player like myself, even though I have played the game for over a year. My question is, and please forgive my ignorance, if I don't finish the main story 2.55 before Heavensward comes out, am I still able to play that story? Yeah, you have to, because people who it's required to do it before you can play Heavensward content. That doesn't mean you have to have it done before June 19th or June 23rd. It's just that if you were to play, let's say, in December of 2015, you're a brand new player, you would still have to do all the 2.55 story, assuming they don't make any changes to it. But you know what I'm saying. You can still experience it, and you will still have to do it. So yes. Next question. Hey, Mr. Happy. Sorry, that's another Twitch thing. I thought about transferring servers, probably Behemoth. We just got, I didn't even, oh, wow, okay. To finish Final Coil of Bahamut, I've seen turn 9 up to dive bombs and know the fight like the back of my hand, but still haven't cleared because party finder groups are too unreliable on my server, and no statics want me because I haven't cleared. I don't have crafters level to make money for the 10 million I need to pay for the clear either. Is it worth doing this, or just wait for the X-Pack and do it over geared? I typically am not a huge raider, but I am a lore, Miss Kupo, so it just bugs. It just bugs me that I have so much I haven't cleared. That's up to you, man. If you transfer now, you're probably still going to have that problem where if you don't clear it in the duty finder or the party finder, you're going to have a hard time finding people. My best recommendation is to do it with friends, but it's almost sounding like to me like you don't, I don't want to say you don't have friends, but you don't have people that you know that are either up to it yet or they're past it and they won't help you. I just try to chill out with some free company members or a link shell mate or something like that and just ask them to try and get it done. Set up your own party finder group maybe instead of joining others so you can guarantee the quality of player. Don't be a dick, but like try to guarantee that it's either A, people who have great experience with the fight, or B, people who are just helping out because they can. Alright, next question. Hey Haps, how's it going? It's going good, man. So, lore question for you. Midgard says he's got 7 children. Do we know the names of all 7? I know Nidhogg and Tiamat are 2, but who are the other 5? One of them is Bahamut, so we will not be dealing with them. And the rest, I think, are pretty much just speculation. There's some art out there of Midgard's 7 children, and you can see them, but we don't know all their names. We don't know if they're going to use Shinryu as a name. We don't know if they're going to use Fafnir as a name. There's a lot of Final Fantasy XI dragons that they use that would work perfectly here. Not just the big ones like Fafnir, Nidhogg, Tiamat, Vertra, Oryu, Jormungand, which in this case is Midgardsamr, so they're the same thing. And besides, it's besides the point. We'll find out soon, and we'll probably be finding it, well, we'll find out next month, pretty much. Well, hopefully. Question number 23. Hey Haps, wondering if you've played any of the Elder Scrolls Online. I'm getting the deluxe edition for PS4 and I'm excited about it, but I have this nagging feeling I'm going to be let down after the Elder Scrolls series' brilliant single-player games. If you've gotten into it, what drew you to the game, and if you haven't, what has put you off? Okay, let's be fair here. I only played the first couple of zones. I think it's fair to say I didn't play it very in-depth, so my opinions of it are quite shallow. Therefore, they may not properly represent what Elder Scrolls is actually capable of. That being said, it felt too much like it was trying to be both a WoW clone MMO and an Elder Scrolls game, and didn't make me enjoy either. It felt like it was halfway to each, and didn't do either as well as it could have. There are some interesting systems. It definitely has some of the Elder Scrolls feel with finding random loot out in the world and opening chests and the sneak meter. I wanted it to be an Elder Scrolls experience in an MMO standpoint, so I played it from a first-person perspective. Unfortunately, if you play it from a first-person perspective with all the mechanics that they throw in the dungeons, it starts to kind of fall apart and you realize you got to play it in the third person. But then when you're playing it in third person, the animations felt incomplete, and I don't know, it tried to be both at the same time, and it didn't work for me. It works for a lot of people. I'm not saying it won't work for you. So I'd say give it a shot. You already bought it. I think you'll enjoy it thoroughly through the I think you'll enjoy it for that first month that you have. Oh wait, no. It's buy to play now. It's not a subscription anymore. You'll enjoy it. I think you'll enjoy it to the point where you're like, okay, I'm glad that I bought this. I don't think you'll play it for the long term though. But you never know. You could be one of the people who does play it for the long term. All right, this is actually going to be the final question because, like I said, there were 47 questions. This is 24. I'm not going to be able to get through all of these. I apologize to everyone who asked questions who I didn't get to, but there's a lot of damn questions. There's a lot of first-timers asking questions, you know what I'm saying? So, I am just going to be the final question. Hey, Mr. Happy. Question for week 40. How do you think the storytelling of the job class stories will unfold in the expansion? New trainers of the same job moving to Ishgard, perhaps? Also, do you think they will give paladin skills backstory about their holy foundations? Right now, they feel like glorified bodyguards who can inexplicably use healing magic. Thanks, Apps. Keep up the awesome work. Less than a month away. Hype! Is it less than a month? What's today's date? No, it's not less than a month. It's a month. Well, by the time you see this, it'll be a month and a day. So you got me all hype. I was like, it's that soon? I'm hoping they will. They've actually specifically commented on it and said we will see more of the class quest NPCs one way or another. They didn't state how. We don't know if it's going to involve unlocking the new abilities. We don't know if they're going to have their own side story missions to learn more about them. You learn a lot about them, but then you just kind of leave them and go handle the job stories. I would like to learn more about them, especially with Estinian and the Dragoons. I think that's going to be a major one that we're going to have to learn more about, on top of learning about him through the main story. So, thank you everyone for your questions. Thank you so much for major support for the channel. It's just been overwhelming this past few months, like since 2015 started. It's been crazy. It's been crazy for way longer than that, but for some reason this burst in the last 6 months with Heavensward coming has been phenomenal. So anyway, guys, go check out Green Man Gaming, official partner. So glad to be partnered with them. Having a partner, I can actually offer you something back with a 20% discount. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys for next week's episode. And until then, oh, I almost forgot to say, ask your questions for next week in the Dream Forum in the description of the video for week 41. I'll be sure to include a link. So anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next week. And until then, take care.